these workers travel around in boxcars. And they would move these little boxcar trains around for these workers to work on certain sections of track. And he was sent to a town on this side of Spokane called Espanola. And we actually lived in, one of the cars was made up for him and his family. And I would live, my sister and I lived, and my mother and
In a boxcar?
lived in a boxcar.
Oh wow! When I was a kid, I always thought I wanted to do that. I found it so exciting.
I'm in a real boxcar.
I know, but I'm just saying, when you're a kid, that sounds like I read a book about kids living in a caboose or something.
And I look back and I say, my gosh, no, we didn't have anything. There was
plumbing, no
lights, no water, no nothing.
It doesn't sound so good anymore.
We had those romantic lanterns.
And then from there,
That's great.
my dad got a section in Fort Wright, which is in Spokane. And I think I was 10 years old, as close as I can remember, before we had any water, electricity,
Wow.
and of course we had an outhouse. But I think I was 10 years old before we got anything like that in the house. It was always kerosene lamps, and the water was brought in by kegs, by barrels of water from up the tracks a ways.
Sure.
I'm thinking, my gosh,
Let alone.
I should have grown up in New York where they had that.
They had running water. My goodness, it would have been luxury.
And a shared commode down the hallway, right?
She grew up in style. Look
I
at
hear
that.
Domenick with everything on a timer and with different
that's
warnings
to
when
me-
somebody's coming
It's
into his
strange,
driveway.
the different.
So as these new amenities came into your life, did it just seem like it should be that way, or
Oh, I
did
think
you
it
marvel
was.
at some
It was
certain things?
quite an experience
Yeah.
to have running water or lights in the house.
Lights.
Where you could throw a switch and have a light come on,
Yeah.
And do you
And
use
now
it?
Domenick doesn't even throw a switch. He has it on a timer.
Yeah, I remember back in the days when you had to just manually turn on all the fan switches yourself. Now, or turn them off anyway. Now you
So
can.
how old were you when you got electricity?
10.
10, you said.
Well, I'm about 10 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
A
water came.
refrigerator then, so you had an ice box.
Ice
before
Always
that?
an ice box.
Well, we had an ice box of 2107 for a long time.
They used to come out with a. We lived in a part of Fort Wright, outside of Spokane, where they used to. At that time, they had these trains that used to go back and forth locally from Spokane, going east to Sandpoint and whatnot. And they would come out to our place with this little train every day, and turn them around. We lived in a triangle. Actually, our section house was in a triangle, and there was tracks all the way around it.
Did you already know all this?
And they would bring these cars out there,
You had to be careful playing.
and
Your mother
of
had
course
to
we had
worry about you running away.
they would load these cars with ice. They would bring out once a year a big load of ice cubes, big ice cakes, blocks of ice,
Yeah.
and store them, and they build an ice house across the tracks from us, and so we always had ice.
That was
We'd
a
take the
luxury
ice,
you had.
so that's how we kept things cool.
Yeah.
Was from that ice that we used to get, and the water for watering. They had the drinking water from the tracks from an artesian well that Dad used to bring home on the motor car every day, the fresh water.
Wow.
But for watering the garden or laundry or like that, we had 5 big barrels of water buried next to the tracks out in front of the house, and the engine would fill these barrels of water for us from the engine. And that's
Was it a
what we
steam
used.
engine?
A steam engine, yeah. And that's what we used to water the garden or wash clothes with or whatnot.
And his poor mother, she washed clothes.
By
Never
hand.
forget that. And
Yeah.
even after we got married, I remember her washing clothes
by hand.
with a
the old
wringer.
wringer washer.
She had a wringer, but the wringer would drop the clothes into the bathtub, and that's how she had to pick up. And she was a big woman. She She was really heavy by the time that I met her. And then she used to take those sheets and rinse them and put them back into the, and I remember helping her washing clothes. We used to put the clothes into the wringer and it would come out the other side, and oh gosh, how she
But
had
I
to
remember
work.
when
Did
the
you go
Iceman
hard?
used to come to deliver ice at 2107, and he had these big forks to, you know, because he would cut the chunks from a big chunk from a larger chunk that to bring
Yes.
into the ice. And we kids used to stay there while he shaved the ice so we
Yeah.
could catch the ice, especially in the summertime, because that would be a cooling thing
Yeah,
for us, you know.
yeah.
Oh, the Iceman's here, and we'd go
Yeah.
running, and you know, it's a good thing he did. He must have been a nice man. He never chased us away, you know.
Yeah.
I wish I could really remember the dates and times. I can't remember them well enough.
Now you wouldn't have had, your parents probably didn't have a car, but did you have horses
No,
or?
he had a car.
No, there was a car. We had a Model 8.
They had cars, they lived way out of Spokane, you know, kind of like in the country, you know. Yeah, they used to have bobcats running around and stuff like that. You
It
know.
had to be an old car.
But your
It had to
dad,
be a car.
yeah, but you had a '37 Chevrolet when we got
Well, that
married.
was yeah.
That was later. That was
That
way
was
later.
It was only in '51.
My memory stories just go to the milkman delivering. We had a little metal box
Right.
outside the
Yes,
side door.
I remember that.
And we'd go out, my mother would say, go, you know, carefully when I was old enough. She'd say, bring the milk in, you know, and
Yeah.
they would have delivered it early in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
my
had the
God.
milkman, you know, he had a horse that knew how to stop. That used to be,
Not in my day. There were no more horses.
the horse knew when to stop. That was amazing. He knew exactly.
Which houses got
Yeah.
delivered.
Wow.
And you know, way back then too, that all the department stores had their own trucks. So you would recognize the delivery, you know, by the Macy's truck or the Lord Taylor truck and all that. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden there's no more department store trucks.
I remember when our washing machine broke when I was a kid, and